Oh, what is going on, Ada Nation? Welcome to Dapp Central. My name is Fareed. Today, I want to touch on all the latest breaking news and updates going on in the Cardano network. The very first topic I want to take a look at is going to be the Cardano price performance compared to Ethereum and Bitcoin, given the recent sell-off that we've had. And then I want to give you guys my idea as to when we could potentially see some more positive price action when it comes to the entire crypto market. The second update I want to jump into is going to be a pretty big one, or a pretty big substantial update, but this is going to be surrounding the LEDGER hardware wallet and the fact that you can now stake directly from your hardware wallet and support any stake pool operator on the Cardano network. Now, moving into the third topic here for today's video, I want to jump into some news surrounding the Cornucopias game. If you guys are not aware, we have one of the very first previews or bits of access to the Calido Valley Megadome, or the Raceway area, in which we can begin exploration. And they've now released a brand new build, and I want to cover what that build includes and some of the key highlights that we can expect from the Cornucopias game. Now, last but not least, I want to jump into some updates surrounding Indigo in their open source tool, which is going to be called Dexter, which is going to be a platform that allows you to create, manage, and send swaps for tokens or trades taking place on DEXs. And then I also want to jump into a brief update surrounding the integration of Indigo within the Vespr wallet, or the integration of the Vespr wallet within Indigo. As always, if it's your first time stopping by the channel, my goal is to provide you guys here in the community with the latest news, tutorials, and updates surrounding all the top builders on the network. I'm also a single stake pool operator operating the official Dapp Central stake pool. And if you'd like to support me on my mission to educate the broader Cardano and crypto community, then consider delegating with the stake pool. As always, thank you all so much for your support. Jumping into the first topic here for today's video, as promised, I want to touch on the Cardano price performance compared to Ethereum and Bitcoin. So spanning all the way back until January 1st of 2023, we have the Bitcoin price at around $16,000 to $17,000 per token, and that has shot all the way up to a max or high of about 31,500. And then in the past week alone, we've seen quite a big dip down back into the $25,000 to $2,600, or excuse me, $25,000 to $26,000 region. So when you take a look and you zoom out, Bitcoin is still up almost 60% when you're looking at year to date, or since January 1st of 2023, which is still quite substantial, right? And then if we move down a little bit further into Ethereum, that has gone from a price of about 1.3K, 1.4K, all the way to a high of about $2,000, and it's now retraced back down to about $1,500 per Ethereum token. Now, with respect to Ethereum, that is a performance of 40% year to date. So not as much of a profit, again, looking just at year to date when compared to Bitcoin, but it is up nonetheless. Now, if we take a look at Cardano there at the very bottom, that is going to actually only be up 5% year to date. So a lot of the gains that we saw earlier in this year, when Cardano was at about 24 to 25 cents, it made a run all the way up to about 42 cents. It's basically given all of those gains back into the market after this latest drop, in which we saw ADA go from about 30 cents all the way down to about 25 cents, where it's currently trading at right now. Now, as promised, I'll give you guys my thoughts as to when we could potentially see some positive price action. And before I jump into that, I want to say that, just this year to date performance alone is typically what we expect. As the market tends to tick back up, we see Bitcoin take a lot of the dominance. And as a result of that, it's able to hold or sustain much more of its gains, as opposed to large market cap cryptos, which include Ethereum, and then altcoins, which include Cardano. So this is not out of the ordinary, especially when we're coming in from a recovery from a bear market. Now, what I think is going to happen is over the course of the next 6 to 8 months, we're going to have the Bitcoin halving. And I think that should take place somewhere around early summertime or late spring of 2024. Now, once that happens, we typically tend to see a lot more appreciation and a lot more adoption into crypto, starting off with Bitcoin. Again, given the fact that the halving impacts the Bitcoin circulating block rewards, and that is basically the king of all crypto when the bull market starts. So we're going to see continued appreciation in my personal eyes of Bitcoin up until the halving, but we're not going to see accelerated growth with the entire crypto space until that particular point. Now, similarly with platforms like Ethereum and Cardano, we're probably going to see a much bigger appreciation in those assets a couple of months after the appreciation of Bitcoin. Again, given the fact that a lot of those gains tend to roll out into the large cap and then some of the altcoins, which then gives us altcoin season very, very late into the actual cycle, which has now become known as the 4-year cycle. So let me know what you think down below. Do you agree, that right now what we're seeing is expected? I know that it can be extremely tough to just kind of continue to sit around during the bear market. I've seen a lot of different content creators come and go, different personalities within the ecosystem come and go, but I've made it a point to stick with this no matter how bad the storm gets. I released a video not too long ago, actually just yesterday, breaking down 5 things you can do during the bear market to make sure you stay ahead of the crowd. And that included things such as continuing to educate yourself, diversifying your portfolio, taking a look at the fundamentals of projects, as well as just building your network amongst your own community and some of the professionals and enthusiasts here within crypto. And then very lastly was to take this time to identify key value investment opportunities to make sure that you're continuously staying ahead of the game. Again, during the bear market, it's extremely quiet, and this is the best time to go ahead and do all of those things. If you guys want more information surrounding that, then please make sure to go ahead and check out my last video. The next topic I want to jump into is going to be surrounding LEDGER and the fact that we can now go ahead and actually stake using the LEDGER hardware wallet and support any SPO or stake pool operator building on the Cardano network. So it states here from this particular SPO's Twitter page, which is going to be ATADA, as well as ATAD2 Cardano Stake Pool Austria. Thanks to the funding round as a part of Catalyst and the great work from Ashi ERC and his team at Strika HQ, staking is now available on LEDGER Live. So this is a feature that has been requested by the community for quite a bit of time, and it's really good to see this finally coming online. It kind of surprised me to find out that staking was not included as a part of a hardware that is so robust and that has support for any or many other networks, including Cardano. So now you can actually hold the majority of your Cardano native tokens or your Cardano native assets on the hardware wallet like the LEDGER, but you can also now begin to stake any of the ADA that you might have potentially using the LEDGER Live platform. It continues to state here, there is no locking to LEDGER's own stake pool. You can now stake to every community pool there is out there. So again, with platforms, for example, like the Nami wallet, what we've seen is because they're contributing to open source and free software for the community, that software is defaulting to allow for you to stake to a particular stake pool in order to give back over to the contributors that provided that software. So similar thing here. I think people maybe would have thought that if you have staking available, that you can only stake to the LEDGER specific pools. But that is not the case. So you can go ahead and actually stake to any stake pool operator and support them as you wish. Now, this could potentially be a blueprint for the future cooperations with the industry. And this is a great step up for Cardano too. I couldn't agree more. This is a clear example of why we need something like Project Catalyst. I know a lot of people tend to be very reluctant, especially when people have grand ideas, which probably included the integration with LEDGER Live because they are such a big player within the crypto and Web3 space. But to see them execute on this and do it in a way that was both beneficial to the LEDGER crowd as well as the Cardano community is exactly what I love to see and what I hope to continue to see as a part of Project Catalyst. As always, we are currently in the funding round number 10. If you guys did miss out on the registration process, that has officially closed, but the voting will begin here, I believe, on August 31st for all of those additional proposals. I believe there was around 1,500 of them, up from about 1,000 as a part of funding round number 9. Now, there's one last key piece that I want to highlight here, and this just goes to the testament of the team that was actually building all of this. So it reads, as an extra bit of information, I want to highlight the fact that the team had to rewrite the entire code after the integration was basically finished. LEDGER decided to do a code-based change during the integration, and this extra work was not covered via the Project Catalyst proposal. But Striker HQ went on ahead and actually implemented the feature, again, without any additional funds being given over from Project Catalyst. So really showing and touting the Cardano way, finishing the mission, even though things didn't go as planned. And again, let me know if you hold a ledger live, if you're using a feature like this and who you're currently delegated to. That is going to take me through the second video update here for today's Cardano Scoop. If you are enjoying these videos, as always, I appreciate you guys when you're able to tap that like button. Not only does it help me out here on the channel, but also lets the algorithm know that I'm doing a good job. If you guys want more content like this, consider subscribing. And if you have any questions for me surrounding anything we're breaking down as a part of today's video, then make sure to go ahead and leave a comment down below. Now, the next and the third update I want to jump into is going to be surrounding the Cornucopias game, which has released their first ever sneak peek, or early access to their Calido Valley Raceway Dome. So it states here, release 0.2.11, Calido Midnight is now live. Experience nighttime in Calido the way it's meant to be seen. So the first iteration of their early access was done during the daytime, which really lets you see everything that was available there. I had a play at it, and I'm still having a play at it. And throughout that entire time, I've yet to touch every corner which is available within just this 8 square kilometer radius. Even though it doesn't seem that big, when you're running around in here, there's so much things to do and there's so many things to take a look at that it really does take a while to actually finish the entire process. Now, as a part of this update, they've released new holo caches, which are basically going to be initiating somewhat of like an Easter egg hunt. As you travel throughout the Megadome, there's different corners or crannies, which some of these holo caches are, and they basically allow for you to level up and gain experience, I believe, in preparation for the full launch of the Cornucopias metaverse. Number 2 is going to be improved character movement. Number 3, tap to shift to auto run. And so this is a feature that a lot of people were requesting. When I was playing, you had to actually hold down the shift key, or I believe it was like the right bumper if you're using a controller, in order to have your character run. And as you can imagine, if you're running around all day, that is going to get pretty taxing on your fingers. So they now have added a way to tap to run, or a way to hold a button on your controller in order to run automatically without necessarily having to keep your finger pressed down on that the entire time. Now, they list some other bugs, or some other fixes, which include various bug fixes on collision, as well as a graphics preset overhaul, producing more consistent visual results across different gaming settings. This is something I've said before, and I'm going to continue to say this about the Cornucopias game. They listen to their community. I was literally on a Discord chat with Steve Cornpops, as well as Rob Gregg. And in those voice chats, which took place early in the morning, not only were they playing the game with the community, but these are the suggestions that literally came out of those particular calls. So to hear that the team has released a new build version, incorporating everything that the community has asked for, I think really just goes again to show the testament that they have to listening and building with the community, as opposed to building what they want and then just dropping that back on the community. Now, the very last update I want to touch on here is the fact that they've also added a feature to allow for players within their metaverse to recognize other players, and that's just by adding their username above their heads. Again, that was a feature that came out of some of those calls early in the morning by the OGs, and the team has implemented and given them what they want. So congratulations to the Cornucopias game. I think that they will be attending the Rare Bloom event, or the Rare Evo event. I'm going to try to snag a couple of minutes from Rob Gregg. He is a hot commodity, especially right now, as they've been making their rounds across so many channels within the Cardano and outside of Cardano, which include Scruffy, who is a OG within their Discord. They've also made it onto Cardano with Paul, Crypto Stash, Crypto Crow, and I even saw Digital Asset News or Dan also asking to get access to the early access version of their platform. So a lot of pretty big names here, and they've been doing a great job of reaching out, actually walking through with them, and then releasing alpha at the same time. So great opportunity, great times for the Cornucopias family. If you guys, again, are a part of that platform, definitely make sure to go ahead and try to get early access. And if you're not, check them out. I think they are doing an amazing job here, and they're really delivering on what they've set to build out from the early start. So the very last thing I want to jump into is going to be surrounding Indigo. And I want to touch on a couple of updates here as a part of the Indigo platform. So jumping back over into Twitter, we have a post here from Hummus or Zachary Sluter stating Dexter version 4.1.0 released with support for splitting your swap orders across multiple DEXs in the same transaction. So the DEX aggregators have been a hot topic. I've been covering them here pretty closely in the last week or two, and we now have a couple of projects bringing this on. In a nutshell, this allows for you to get the best price available, given the fact that different DEXs have different liquidity pools, they have different pending orders, and they have just different amounts of availability when it comes to executing a trade at a particular time. So sometimes it's actually best to execute your order across multiple DEXs, and this is exactly what an aggregator will let you do. So we have here a transaction in which we can see that a portion of the transaction was filled on SundaySwap, ViFinance, MusiSwap, MinSwap, and WingRider. So as long as that token is supported on all of those different DEXs, you should be able to go ahead and use a platform like Dexter, split up your order, and have the least price impact on all of those pools, given the fact that your order is spread across so thin. So that is the first thing I want to touch on there. I did also want to mention the fact that I did receive some comments surrounding how fees will work with the DEX aggregators. And to add a little bit of clarity, each of the DEXs have a batcher fee. So yes, you will have to pay for that batcher fee, which typically is about 2 ADA. You also have to send 2 ADA just to return back with the actual Cardano native asset. So for example, if you're using a platform like SundaySwap, you might have to pay a total fee of 4 ADA. 2 of that ADA will be returned back over to you, and then 2 ADA will actually go towards the protocol or towards the batcher fee. Similar thing with ViFinance, MusiSwap, MinSwap, and WingRiders. So in an order like this, you might end up actually paying somewhere around 10 ADA, which will not be refunded as a part of the fees for using the actual Dexter platform or the cross DEX aggregator. So that is one thing I wanted to touch on there. Again, I think that's a great question and something for people to be aware of. So it may not always be the best thing to use a DEX aggregator. Number one, if your order is small enough not to have a big impact. And then number two, if the actual amount of tokens you're receiving is going to be greatly outweighed by the amount of fees that you're actually having to pay. So keep that in mind. I think that this is going to be a huge feature, but it's not necessarily needed unless you're having a big trade or a big swap that really is going to be impacting one single pool if it was executed on one single DEX. Again, let me know if you guys are planning on using something like this. But I also want to give a shout out here to Beaumont_DVD or Dave, who's going to be a developer who's been contributing to the space very greatly. And, Hummus here is also doing the same thing. I've reached out to Dave. He's basically been contributing a lot of open source code, which is basically free for the community to leverage and reuse. And this is just a clear example here with Dexter integrating cross DEX swaps. So that's going to wrap it up for that particular story. Now, that's not all here when it comes to Indigo. I want to jump onto this next tab here and talk a little bit about their integration of the Vespr wallet. So if you head over to Indigo and you check out their platform right now, you can connect a lot of wallets, which include Nami, Lace, Eternal, Yoroi, etc. But they don't have a connection for the Vespr wallet, which is arguably one of the biggest mobile wallets available right now on the Cardano network. Now, this is going to be a proposal for the Vespr wallet being integrated directly into the Indigo protocol. And it reads here from the proposal or the temperature check that mobile devices account for a significant portion of internet usage, with data showing 60% of the total web traffic market share in 2023 belongs to mobile devices. So understanding this, the growing demand with respect to mobile devices and how they're being used, the integration of Vespr within the Indigo platform is a logical move, as Indigo users will gain the ability to manage their CDPs, iAssets, and accounts on the go anywhere they want and at any time. When it comes to accessibility, I think that the Indigo platform will be working on a mobile development or a mobile version of their platform, but in the meantime, you can currently access them through the Vespr wallet. But the thing is when you go to actually connect your wallet, the Vespr wallet is not an option. So it is somewhat of a unfortunate situation, right? But they're trying to do this temp check to go ahead and actually fix that by allowing you to connect your Vespr wallet directly into the Indigo platform. So by integrating a sleek, user-friendly wallet like Vespr, it may be possible to cultivate more long-lasting, positive impressions about Cardano, Indigo, and many other apps within the Cardano ecosystem. Again, this is just a temp check before they actually bring it on chain and allow for people to vote by holding their Indy and actually voting yes or no as to whether or not they want to include the integration for the Vespr wallet. To me personally, this is a hands down yes. There's no thought about it. The more wallets you can integrate, the easier and the more accessible your platform becomes. So I think it's a pretty no-brainer for me as to whether or not they should be integrating the Vespr wallet. Here, just looking at some of the comments, I can see that they are relatively positive. We have a yes, yes. Will this be open source? Let's see here. This is what I expected. Vespr is an awesome or fantastic wallet. I would vote yes. So the community sentiment seems to be pretty positive here so far. We'll see exactly how this on-chain vote goes once they bring this temp check online. Now, the very last thing I want to jump into is going to be a pretty brief update, but it is surrounding Indigo nonetheless, so I want to cover it. But it states here that we've heard you introducing a third theme into the Indigo platform called Indigo Midnight. If I jump over to the official application and I click on the settings icon here, brace your eyes. I'm going to go ahead and jump over to the light mode here. We then have dark mode, and then we now have midnight, which is a variation of both of those. So again, pretty short and sweet update, but we have a new theme when it comes to the Indigo platform. This team continues to deliver with a recent rehaul of the entire platform, adding a bunch of new different pages, which include the Unstake LP token page. They've redesigned their CDP page. They've even added a portfolio and a rewards tracker page, and so much more. So again, check out the Indigo platform if you guys have not already done so, providing Cardano members with assets to assets that don't rely or that are not native to Cardano. That is going to bring me to the end for today's video, touching on the Cardano price performance, LEDGER and their integration of Cardano staking, Cornucopias and their latest Calido Valley midnight build, as well as Indigo and their Dexter open source, as well as their temp check for integrating with the Vespr wallet. If you found today's video to be helpful, insightful, or just beneficial in any way, shape, or form, I would really appreciate you if you could tap that like button. If it's your first time stopping by the channel and you want more coverage here surrounding Cardano, then consider subscribing. And if you have any questions for me surrounding anything we touched on as a part of today's video, then make sure to go ahead and leave a comment down below. That said, and as always, I will see you guys in the next video.